We're now beyond the point of speculation. AI is completely embedded in all of our lives. Today we are at a crossroads, not a technological one, but a moral and philosophical one. As AI becomes more capable and more present, and in some cases even more human-like, the question must be not just what can it do, but what should we do? One assignment that stands out for me when I was reporting for Click was during my time traveling in Rwanda. We were reporting on Babylon Health's deployment of an AI chatbot there. Now, Babylon Health was a UK-based company. They claimed that the chatbot could diagnose medical conditions as accurately as a human doctor, even outperforming GPs on certain medical exams. In practice, we saw nurses using this chatbot to assist in diagnosing patients, aiming to bridge a gap in healthcare in underserved areas. Now, this initiative sparked controversy because medical professionals around the world were questioning the diagnostic capabilities and the ethical implications of relying on AI for critical healthcare decisions. And I spoke to Rwanda's healthcare minister, and she told me she was concerned that this chatbot was trained not on diseases that were endemic in sub-Saharan Africa, but in diseases in the UK, so diagnoses could be missed. This case highlighted the profound ethical questions posed by AI. Can machines replicate the nuanced understanding and empathy of a human caregiver? What are the implications of human dignity when we delegate such responsibilities to algorithms? And this report led to my engagement with the Vatican on this subject, where I met Father Michael. I was asked to present the film at a conference on AI and ethics at the Vatican in 2020. Now, that meeting concluded with the signing of the Rome Call for Ethics, which was signed by the president of Microsoft and the executive vice president of IBM. And as a journalist, I was really impressed to see how the Vatican was engaging in these important discussions with a wide variety of leaders. Which was something that I had not imagined would be possible at somewhere like the Vatican. Now, since then, Pope Francis had audiences with Elon Musk, the head of Google's DeepMind, was appointed by Pope Francis to the Pontifical Academy of Science. Now, in 2019, Pope Francis hosted an event also at the Vatican on robotics. And this was fascinating to see how leading scientists and roboticists had turned to Pope Francis on advice specifically on what it means to be human. So there was a professor from Japan called Hiroshi Ishiguro among the speakers there. He told me that humans are no longer going to be recognized as beings made of flesh and blood in 10,000 years' time. He was creating very human-like robots in his lab in Osaka University. He made one also of himself. He said we need to evolve our bodies away from their current biological material into something more enduring, saying the ultimate aim of human evolution is immortality, and by replacing the flesh and bones with inorganic material, this could be possible. He also said if something happens on our planet, we need to move to outer space, for example. So we need to think, is it better to have the organic materials of our bodies or use inorganic materials? He also suggested that once we have these robot companions in our lives, that we'll have to think about giving them a charter of human rights, but of robot rights. So he said, as rights that we give to animals, he imagined that robots will have to have the same kind of rights for them as well. So Pope Francis addressed the meeting writing a letter to the human community. And in it, he said, there's a pressing need to understand these changes and the new frontiers in order to determine how to place them at the service of the human person, while respecting and promoting the intrinsic dignity of all. Moving along, I have now the great privilege of working a lot in China, and they're greatly accelerating the field of artificial intelligence, as I'm sure a lot of people are aware. In March, I was at a press conference in Beijing, where a basic requirement for the study of AI has been introduced to classrooms for the elementary level. I think it's only about 8 hours per year, but it's still mandatory for students to learn about AI. Now, China's also very interested in the representation of humans in robot form. So I recently interviewed the founder of Engine AI, which is a company based in Shenzhen. Shenzhen is one of China's big tech hubs. So they demonstrated for me the capabilities of this robot by walking down the street in Shenzhen with me. it also can do backflips and front flips. The idea the founders are presenting and emphasizing is that one day this robot will be indistinguishable from a human companion. So the idea is that it would provide emotional support for elderly, to those who are isolated, to the bereaved, and they're working on the concept of having a soul, indistinguishable from a human, inside this robot in the next 3 years. So a question this brings up, as Karen was mentioning, is how do we relate when we're in relationship with a being that has no vulnerability, no human history, and no soul? What are the implications of lonely people turning to AI for companionship? Is it important to consider what happens when grief or anxiety drives us to seek solace not from a human, but from a chatbot, which I have to say I have also consulted ChatGPT in times when I've lost my mother recently, I've had friends who've passed away, and it does provide some level of comfort, I have to admit, to talk to something when there's nobody else around. So Pope Leo XIV is emphasizing all of this, the importance of studying AI and addressing large issues. He says we'll require responsibility and discernment to deploy AI's immense potential to benefit rather than degrade humankind. Just giving a couple of other key areas for discussion. One is the future of work. So again, back in 2019, so about 6 years ago, I was asked by the World Economic Forum to devise a panel, also in China, on any topic that I would like, and I chose, what if 50% of jobs were to disappear? And at that point, that didn't seem like it was even a reality. Parts of the team at the World Economic Forum really disputed that this could even be a point of discussion. But it is now becoming more and more relevant to government discernment and a point of discussion every day in the newspapers. It's not just changing how we interact AI, it's changing how we work. According to McKinsey, there will be up to 375 million workers who could be displaced globally or forced to transition into new roles by 2030. That's just 5 years away. And many technologists frame the advancement of AI as a productivity boost, but we know that work is not just about economics and productivity. It has profound meaning to all of us. And as a Catholic theologian put it, Joseph Capizzi, it's not simply burdensome, it's where we develop ourselves. Now, Pope Leo XIII wrote in Rerum Novarum that work is part of the natural law, a way for humans to participate in creation and cultivate virtue. Pope Francis in Laudato Si built on this and reminded us work is essential to human dignity. Technological change must never render a person obsolete.